I did 4 segments on U.S. Cybercom and the fact that in its charter it talks about denying the enemy control of, let's call it, the information space. And the problem is that that poses a risk to citizens of the countries that are conducting these operations to be deprived of information because the arms of the government that would deal with controlling this information space would view it as enemy propaganda. Whereas, like in the case of Libya, what we're seeing is that a lot of the initial claims have been refuted. Claims by Amnesty that Amnesty International investigated they were mercenaries. They could find no trace of that, which is very surprising, even to me, or at rape or use of heavy weapons on civilians. Many of the charges that came out, and one of the odd things was how quickly they came out. Within 48 hours of the first raising of a fist in a protest, all of this was coming out, almost like it was prearranged. But it could just be people lying or small incidents that gradually, like playing the game of telephone, developed. So at any rate, we did this piece on the cyber command and the potential abuse it could have to our ability to get information, seek it, and publish it. So we really need to have something. So here's a nightmare scenario. You go to YouTube one day, the searches aren't the way they used to be. In some way, the party line begins to be more and more what you're able to access there. And you go to Google News and you find that the articles tend to be slanted in support of the governments that are leaning on Google. And 40% of our economy is public sector. So being stridently against public sector entities' requests can make it difficult for companies. So at any rate, what you've got here, I think, is the need for a DMZ. So that's what I call it, DMZ. And here is the DMZ paper. Transparent Internet DMZ fragment. So one part of this is basically a Facebook that is decentralized. Each person basically has a digital signature and they can expose different data sets about themselves to different people at will. Join groups, set permissions, basically set the terms and policies of other objects to interact with you. And PGP has the basis of that with digital signatures, and they're non-security problem, really, digital signature itself. Nobody can expect people to expose all their information to government, so people are permitted to have their own encryption. That's understood. Search and publication can be digitally signed. Publication cannot be encrypted. What I'm suggesting is that we have a Google search engine for potentially critical or dissident or politically sensitive content in particular. But anybody could publish to this. It would be an open cloud. But encryption would be beyond its scope. So in other words, we need to design a system that's uncrackable by any propagandist state that wants to tell us what we should think. We want to always be able to get access and sort information based on the diversity of opinions, not the diversity of places reprinting the same line. So we want to have access to that, but we don't need for it to be unmonitored, because this should essentially not be a conduit for rebellion. It should be a conduit for the information that people need to decide whether they want to reform their society or let it go as it is, regardless of how they plan to do it. We all need information to control our governments. Our governments cannot deny us the right to hear information critical of them.